Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Fled of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and I've got 5 more albums that you do not want to miss this month. But before I do that, if you like to stay up to date with the best and brightest metal albums and bands from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. I upload new videos every single week. Let's get into it. Alright, first up we've got Colorado doom and sludge band Primitive Man with another bleak and hopeless recording, Immersion, via Relapse Records. Primitive Man had become a centerpiece of the extreme doom genre over the past several years, reaching an impressive peak with 2017's critically lauded Caustic. But far from that album's rather ambitious scope and 1 hour and 18-minute runtime, Immersion sees the band once more stripping their sound back to basics. When I spoke to frontman Ethan McCarthy on the podcast about what to expect this time around, he responded by saying that it was not a fun record, and that says a lot given that Primitive Man are already known for their bleak and nihilistic atmosphere.
It is very bleak. I think it's the best my vocals have sounded. I think it's the best that our band has sounded on a recording.
It's an album that takes me back to the group's early days with Scorn, harrowing, minimalistic compositions with shorter runtimes, all clocking in at a modest 36 minutes. No more 13-plus minute trudges through the unknown, no cathartic eruptions of D-beat, just pure existential dread. Menacing kicks off with some sick blast beats, but only long enough to remind you of the release you so desperately crave, but will never be rewarded. And speaking of which, that music video's sick. I did a reaction to that. There's a lot of Twin Peaks references on there, so definitely check that out as well. But in any case, the rest of this album is pure misery right down to the eternal swarming insect guitars of Entity and raw, unadulterated noise of Infinity. Led as always by one of the most tormented vocal performances in the game, I can think of few more appropriate albums to drop at this present moment than Immersion. Primitive Man have once more perfectly captured all of the darkest facets of human existence and laid them bare for all to see. Next up, we've got German brutal death metal band Stillbirth giving into their bloodlust on the new album Revive the Throne via Unique Leader Records. In keeping with the gladiatorial imagery of the album cover, one that reminds me of another excellent brutal death metal release of the last few years in Gutslit, Revive the Throne opens with the sounds of a roaring arena crowd ready to cheer on the violence, and in this Stillbirth do not disappoint with their relentless onslaught of blasts, breeze, slams, and squeals.
Are you not entertained?
Revive the Throne is a truly vicious display of modern-day brutality, one that rivals even legends in the genre like Dying Fetus and Cryptopsy in its caveman brain antics. The production does a great job of highlighting the bludgeoning snare strikes and piercing pinch harmonics that punctuate every pummeling riff. And what really sold me on this band is the vocal variety. Whereas many brutal death and slam bands often bore me to tears with fairly monotonous gurgles, Stillbirth keep things interesting with a shifting palette of breeze, corpse grinder-esque growls, and my personal favorite, throat-tearing high-pitched screeches. Their sparing and calculated use of the latter really makes those moments pop within the album's focused runtime. The Wilhelm scream sample on Penem et Circenses is a nice touch as well. Classic. While Stillbirth could certainly still benefit from finding that it factor that helps them better stand out from the pack, Revive the Throne still represents one of the strongest outings in the genre that I've heard this year. Not only is it more than sufficiently heavy and brutal, it offers enough vocal versatility to make the experience consistently engaging. Then we've got Oakland, California sludge and industrial band Lament Cityscape at it yet again with another killer EP, The Pulsing Wet. Every now and then an artist perfectly nails the feel of an album with a simple title, and this is most certainly one of those times. These are 19 straight minutes of moist, undulating grooves that are at once violent and strangely sensual. Luster is a strong opener with a highly infectious bass hook and wailing guitars straight out of Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile, or With Teeth. Backed once more by the reverb-infused sludge vocals, it makes for quite the head-bobbing journey. Bleedback Loop goes for a more aggressive industrial metal sound with plodding, machine-like drumming and imposing melodies that seem to physically drag through an endless expanse of thick sand. The Oasis in the second half is one of the most stunningly ethereal slices of post-metal I've come across in recent memory. And once more, the great reveal brings us full circle back to where we started, sounding almost like a direct spiritual successor to The Way Out Is Through. With the bass guitar really shining as its guiding force and clear allusions to my favorite era of Nine Inch Nails, with its own spin on it, of course, The Pulsing Wet is another fantastic EP from Lament Cityscape. I'd ask for a full album, but it might ruin their perfect bite-sized nature. Alright, and then mere months from the success of their latest full-length Poudroir, which I covered on a previous episode, French industrial metal crew Fange drop even more material with Poigne via Throat Ruiner Records. Seriously, Fange, you're just taunting me at this point. I said in my review for Poudroir that it's cool if you guys take just a little time off from your release schedule, and instead, you've chosen to just accelerate the process, so thanks, more for me. But in any case, Poigne is 4 more tracks of gritty, Godflesh-esque industrial metal anthems that seem intent on proving them to be among the best of the new breed.
Long live the new flesh.
Sludgy walls of distortion, pulsating electronic drums, and eerie synth effects join with gruff, nihilistic vocals to create sadomasochistic soundscapes ripe for kinky underground sex dungeons and debaucherous nightclubs.
Get this thing off of me!
Poigne also finds the band toying with some more melodic arrangements, especially on the strangely haunting Gehenna. When it comes to industrial metal music in the modern age, 3 names have risen to the top for me: Three Teeth, Dawn of Ashes, and Fange. And when those names come up in my inbox, there is a reason why I download without hesitation or sampling. Get everything you can from this group. And then last but absolutely not least, a band that I feel like I've been trying to champion in the US for some time now. Proud deathcore Slavs Within Destruction are at it yet again with Yokai via their own label Ultra Heavy Records. For my money, Within Destruction is one of the finest deathcore acts in the game right now, rising far above their peers in quality while unfortunately only garnering a small fraction of the attention. But after utterly dominating with 2 of the heaviest albums in the genre with Void and Deathwish, these self-described squatting Slavs of true slam have decided to toy with some new ideas on the highly eccentric Yokai. Featuring elements of modern metalcore, mathcore, Japanese aesthetic, and even a dash of trap on their latest outing, it's like Born of Osiris collided with a SoundCloud rapper. Within Destruction haven't abandoned their roots in breeze and breakdowns, but these tropes take a backseat in favor of melodic and electronic additions that end up shaping a much more mainstream sound. There's straight-up hip-hop verses, club-worthy synths and bass beats, and even use of leet speak on the title of Bang Bang. As if bracing for the inevitable blowback of these decisions, the band snarl, "I don't give a fuck if you hate me, 'cause I already hate myself." So relatable. And as if that wasn't enough, it also featured guest appearances from Ryo Kishonida of Crystal Lake, Bill Saber, Tyosin, Kamiyata Plus, and Born of Osiris's own Jason Richardson. Purists and elitists are going to roast this album into oblivion, but given that Within Destruction have partially built their brand on hater memes, I really don't think that they could care less. And you know what? Neither do I. I think that Yokai is an absolute blast and fresh breath of originality in an often stale genre. And that's it, gang. 5 more albums that you definitely don't want to miss right now. But stick around after this video because there's going to be plenty more in addition to these roundups. Full album reviews, track reactions and commentaries, tier lists, and the podcast where I interview these very interesting and talented musicians. So plenty of reason to subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments what you think of these albums, which one is your favorite, and most importantly, which ones you ended up buying, if any. That's really my favorite thing to hear about, that somebody came to my video, discovered a new band as a result, and ended up buying their album because of it. So you can find links to all these albums in the description, along with our usual links to our social media, the email newsletter, and our Patreon and Subscribe Star if you want to make that extra leap to becoming a supporter. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.